So John, you've got some really powerful thoughts that you've just shared with us in that last video, and it's a difficult act to follow. But I'm glad that there's someone doing what you could call sophisticated theology uh, on YouTube, because theology may, in fact, be as legitimate an area of study or as legitimate a science as there is. Um, the study of God is basically the study of the possibilities, or possibility if you're a monotheist, for one's own existence. In other words, as you put it, John, uh, we're not trying to understand how the dominoes fall. We're trying to understand the finger which started them. The originator is what we're looking for. And well, let me sort of summarize your argument, or your theological territory. You're saying that if God is truly free and also omnipotent, then God can't know what it will do next. I say it could be he, she, whatever. And so far as it goes, I think that's right. Omnipotence seems to imply total freedom, and not just freedom of thought or opinion like human beings, but freedom of creation. Human beings are capable of knowledge. We're also capable of ignorance. Such it's evident in the knowledge, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that knowledge involves, both grace and sin. It's both a unique excellence and a tragic flaw. But when you're omnipotent, knowledge seems it's no longer relevant, really. So, is God ignorant, really, because he's omnipotent and so totally free? I wouldn't say that. I would just say that knowledge isn't something that a non-temporal being has to worry about. Knowledge is an intrinsically temporal process or activity. To know is to somehow be privy to the future, at least as far as one's own subjective immediacy is concerned. When you know something, you more than assume that it's going to happen in the future, that you have immediate access to something that transcends any particular instance, any particular moment. So it's claiming the knowledge of time, of how time will unfold. Now, God doesn't. It's not that God doesn't know how time will unfold. It's just that God doesn't need to know. But instead of assuming that God is omnipotent, though, because it seems kind of strange that God wouldn't, God wouldn't know what would happen in time, and yet God was, always already eternity, which is, it's more than the sum of all time. It's also it's the whole, which contains time, certainly, but isn't in any way reducible to the whole of time. It's greater than the sum of its parts. But if we assume that God is not necessarily the creator, what if God is itself a creature? And this is an idea that comes out of A.N. Whitehead's metaphysics, but it's also a theology. which is that creativity is the ultimate category, that God is the creature of creativity, and that we are also all creatures. But the idea here is that God is actual. God is involved in the universe, even though God also, in a way, transcends the universe, because there are certain possibilities, certain ideas, or eternal forms, as Plato would put it, that characterize the possibilities for any particular cosmic adventure or evolution of space and time. And if the ultimate category is just pure creativity, without any restraint, then there could never be creation. It would always be chaotic. There would be no order. And so God is necessary as a derivative of creativity in order to value the possibilities for a cosmic adventure in such a way that those possibilities, those eternal forms, become made relevant to one another in a certain way, such that they can then influence and participate in the way material bodies, material beings unfold in the subsequently created universe. Because, God isn't something we should equate with the universe, with the cosmos. I wouldn't want to exactly propound a pantheistic theology. God includes the universe, certainly, but also transcends it in the sense that God is the possibility of the universe. And I think that's where I agree with you, John, about God being more original. More original, though, not the origin. The origin is just creativity. Science calls it the quantum vacuum, where there's infinite potential energy, and our universe just sprung out of that all-nourishing womb. And, God itself is what has valued certain outcomes more than others all throughout the evolution of our universe, and so helped to lure we creatures, whether we're atoms or molecules or planets, solar systems, galaxies, or actually individual living cells on the surface of planets, colonies of cells on the surface of planets, intelligent organisms, multicellular organisms, capable of both the most profound worship of the universe, the most beautiful forms of art, which are forms of worship of the universe, of nature, I would say, but also capable of inventing the atomic bomb. We're capable of inventing an industrial system which operates so contrary to the reciprocal processes of various ecosystems of Earth and the whole Gaian system itself. Only we are capable of so deluding ourselves and creating for ourselves such a fantasy which was in such opposition to the reality of our situation on this planet. Only because we're capable of that does evil exist. And I think you're right, John, to point out that our freedom to know is also a freedom to fail to know and to do evil as a result. And so we're ultimately responsible for making this decision, right? That's why I say what you've just talked about is it's pretty hard stuff.